It is Thursday, and of course, in the off-season, that can mean one thing and one thing only. That's right, it's time for Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday!
Math Tuesday.
It's Math Tuesday here on Texas Football Today, where we dive inside the numbers of Texas high school football. And if you go to TexasFootball.com, you will find our coaching changes page presented by First Down Playbook. That's where Matt Stepp is tracking all the Texas high school football coaching maneuvers across the state. And so far, if you are interested, there have been 145 UIL 11-man Texas high school football coaching changes.
Jeez.
There will be 145 programs in UIL 11-man Texas high school football who will have a new coach in 2026. Now, what if I were to tell you, Vianney Moreno,
Yes.
that last year there were 230?
Oh my goodness.
In fact, there were 200. I'm sorry, I've got that. No, yeah, 230. 230 Texas high school football coaching changes across UIL 11-man. So we're actually, it's slowed down significantly. Now, I think you could make the argument that this year there have been bigger, higher profile coaching changes.
Do those coaching, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do those coaching changes involved like before the season started or before the season started and as the season went on? Is there coaching changes when the season goes on?
There have been, this will account for anybody who is having a different coach as opposed to week 1 of 2025.
Okay.
So if you had there's not a ton barring like disciplinary issues or other kind of like unforeseen circumstances. There are not a lot of in-season coaching changes.
Great.
But there are coaches who are hired in like December, right? So there are last year 230 first-year Texas high school football coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to do is take a look at them and say, hey, it's hard to step into a new job. I haven't had a new job in 15 years, right? Been in the same place.
Old.
I can imagine that it's hard to start at a new place. And sometimes it's even harder to start at a football program because there's so many different moving parts there. And so I want to look at those 230 new first-year UIL Texas high school football coaches in 2025 and just ask the question, hey, who did the best? Who did the best job? So the first way we're going to measure that is the basic way, which is, hey, of those first-year coaches at their programs, which of them won the most games? Seems pretty simple, right? And here they are. There's 7 guys who I think really stood above the pack. The first one is Corey Laxon, pictured there. The new head coach at Sheldon C.E. King. 13-3, took them to a state championship game. It is hard to have a better first year than Corey Laxon did. Of course, if they had won that last game, maybe that's the only way it could have been better. 13-3, a breakout year, an unbelievable season for Sheldon C.E. King and Coach Corey Laxon in his first season. Jordan Gill, taking over at Gunner. Remember, he took over at Gunner and led them back to the state semifinals. Went 13-2. How about Brett Sawyer? Bernie just keeps doing it. 13-2 in his first season there with the Greyhounds. Tommy Koch, head coach there at Paradise in his first season, guides them to the regional final at 12-2 mark. Bo Maines at Elysian Fields went 11-2, went 3 rounds deep in the playoffs. I think what Jason Lewis did at Houston Yates is unbelievable. 11-1 in his first season. And then Rod Blunt, his first year there at George Wesh after moving from Geronimo Navarro, goes 11-1 with the Longhorns. These are the guys who won the most games in their first season as a Texas high school football coach. Now, I do think there's a caveat here. And one thing I want to look at now, which is if you take a look at a guy like Jordan Gill, for example, and I want to be very clear, I think it's very hard to step into a job that is rolling. He took over at gunner and did the best thing that he could, which is just live up to the expectations. But I want to look at the guys who had the biggest win improvement from the year before to their first year. The program that they took over and then moved forward. And at the top, again, not surprisingly, Corey Laxon. Remember, C.E. King was 5-5 in 2024. And in the first year under Corey Laxon, C.E. King goes 13-3, an 8-win improvement. What about Ty Robinson at Crawford? From 3-9 to 10-2, a 7-win improvement for the Pirates under Ty Robinson. Jermaine Lewis at Gladewater, a 6-win improvement from a 4-win team to a 10-win team. Same thing goes for Brooks Hack, who, of course, was one of the offensive coordinators for Richmond Randall during their run to a state championship in 2024, takes over at Houston Memorial for a legend, and takes him from 4 wins to 10 wins. Clay Baker, what a job he did. From 1-9 to 7-6. That is digging them out of a ditch and getting them 3 rounds deep in the playoffs. And by the way, look at what John Huffstetler did at Pittsburgh. Took over a program that was 1-9 in need of a boost, and boy, he did it. From 1-9 to into the playoffs. Really, really remarkable. So those are the guys who improved the win total the best, the most. Now I want to dig in a little bit more, and we're going to get a little bit more granular. Which of these coaches improved their offensive output the most? Which of these guys gave their offenses a big jump? At the top, Matt Fanning. You may remember Matt Fanning was the head coach at Jim Ned, went into the college ranks, came back to high school, and in his first year at Alvord, improved their offense by 24 points a game. More than 3 touchdowns per game. Jason Pitts took over a really good offense at Ozona, and thanks in large part to Christian Villarreal, turned them into a juggernaut offensively, nearly 60 points a game, up 23.2 points per game. Patrick Oliver, pictured to the left, a guy coming home to Brazos and gave their offense an immediate jump start from 22.8 points per game to 45 points per game. Travis McClain at Mount Vernon. And Mount Vernon's put up some big numbers. He improved their offense by 22 points from 15.9 points per game, which basically you can't win consistently if you are averaging 15.9 points per game, to 38, where your offense is leading the way. Brooks Hack again at Houston Memorial. I don't think that should be a surprise considering what he did offensively with Randall. And then Colonius McNeil at Fort Bend Bush. Don't overlook what he did. A nearly 21-point improvement to go from fewer than 12 points per game, which again, you just can't win like that. From 12 points a game to nearly 33 in his first year. Gave them a huge, huge leap. That's the offense. But what about on the other side? What about on the defensive side? Which coaches changed their defenses for the better the most? How about Travis Crowley at Robstown? He took over a defense that was, they were giving 48 points a game. They couldn't win like that. And he got them to 23.4 points per game. You're taking a very, very below average defense and you're getting them to above average. Nearly 25 fewer points per game under Travis Crowley at Robstown. Clay Baker, again, at Price Carlisle. How'd he do it? How'd they win so many more games? They cut their defensive output in half. In half. Look at what Trent Jones did at Buffalo. Took over a defense that was getting scorched. 57 points a game and got them back to respectability. 22 points better per game. Same thing with Chris Lane at Lamar Consolidate down there in Rosenberg and Lamar Consolidate at ISD. From 51 points a game to under 30. Matt Uzel at Flatonia. What an improvement they made from 40 points a game to under 20. And then Tycoon. They're at Little River Academy, taking over a program that had a tough year in 2024 and immediately revitalized that defense, cutting nearly 20 points per game off of their points allowed per game average. So who had the best year among first-year Texas high school football coaches? Kind of depends on how you measure it. I think for all of these guys, you take a look at these programs under first-year head coaches, and their trajectory, at the very least, is really promising for all of these programs. I think that the best is yet to come for these guys, and they showed that there is a lot of positives for these programs moving forward under their new coaches. There it is. That's a look at the best first-year coaches in Texas high school football in 2025 on Math Tuesday.